Imagine a late morning at a rest stop in Kolari, Finland. Every day just running along right in front of our eyes. An intersection that doesn't have a name, except maybe for the city planner's designation on a chart somewhere. A place not built to stay at, but only to get us out of here. On to the next. No memories are created here. You could come back 1,000 times, never notice it was the same place. The road doesn't really care who passes through, only that you keep moving, so the next one can do the same. As we get up, we get going. Merge back into the quiet flow of things that have to happen today, whether we're thinking about them or not. Another departure without a farewell. Another road already waiting. Another episode of Truck Sim Diaries. And in this video series, I record my Euro Truck Simulator 2 gameplay, and I use it as a backdrop for my unscripted thoughts on what's going on in my life and the world around me. Sometimes I will have a lot to say. Sometimes I'll just comment on the gameplay, and sometimes I'll just be quiet. Either way, I'm glad you're here. So let's hop into this truck and see what we got in store for us today. But before we do anything, let's recap our progress in the Truck Sim Diaries Frozen Routes of Europe contract. If you want to know the details of this contract, how it works, and how you can play along at home, there's a link to an instruction video in the description. Right now we're in the middle of nowhere, Finland, between Karesuando and Haparanda, trailing the Swedish border. We're in the middle of job 2, which is to get a load of frozen hake from Alta, Norway to Magdeburg, Germany. We just had our 45-minute rest and we're about to get going. Now we're going to need to stop for our weekly 45-hour rest in about 2 days. So hopefully we'll be able to get to our garage in Uppsala, Sweden in time for that. It's about 15 hours of driving though, so hopefully we'll be able to make it in time. And a couple notes on the gameplay here. I play with seasons to reflect the real-world weather, daylight hours, and snow cover of the countries and locations I pass through in the game. Today, the snow cover will affect the entire drive. It is Friday, 10:30. First things first, let's refuel this truck.
And then turn left.
I wonder if I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to reverse out of here. This is not really my intention, but hey, it's all free reverse practice. And I'm back from the drive up north. I went to visit my mother. We were there for about a week in Umeå. I live in Uppsala. That was a great drive. We're gonna drive large sections of the the road I took. So it's like I got home and got right back into driving the same, the same road. That's one thing that's actually kind of crazy about this game, how I can kind of be driving in my car and longing to get back into the truck and just keep driving. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, I don't know if you can tell, I am coming down with something again, or it's the same thing. I felt better for a couple of days, and then we went to Umeå. And they have a gym that I was going to check out. It was a really nice gym. And they had, they let you work out for a week for free just to try it out. It was pretty nice. It was a nice gym. So I did Monday and Tuesday, I did my workouts. And then Wednesday, we're going to go swimming with the kids. And I started feeling the tingling sensation in the back of your throat. That's the telltale sign that you're coming down with something. I was a little scared because the bathhouse, is that the word? Bathhouse. The pools, they were pretty cold, and I felt that when I started getting cold, I was like, oh man, I was really hoping that I wasn't coming down with something. But when I was in the cold water, I was like, oh shit, this is not good, hoping that it wouldn't, flash out into full blown. But of course it did. So I spent a lot of the visit just laying in bed. And it sucks because I've been really inactive for the last 3 weeks or something, because if you remember, my son, he had the chicken pox, so I stayed home with him, didn't really move much, and then I came down with something, and that's been going for like on and off for 2 weeks now. If it's the same thing or it's a new one, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But I haven't been able to work out as much as I would have wanted to, and I haven't been able to move as much as I wanted to. So I feel like I'm becoming just this sack, just sitting still and resting. I don't do anything but rest. It was probably my own fault, of course, as with everything, just getting too active too early. Because I may have done life-altering, a life-altering event. Because my mom, she does not live with my dad, but she lives with another man. He's like my bonus dad. We don't really have that kind of relationship. Except maybe sometimes we do, but
Go straight up.
he had a pair of backcountry skis.
Please watch the speed limit.
And I tried these skis on, and it was eye-opening. And it's following a pretty, like, there's this pattern that I keep following, and my kids are told me this, that a lot of times when I have visited my mom, she has something, like she has this thing that I try, and then I just fall in love with it and I start doing it. The first thing was a kayak. She was the first person that she got a kayak, so all of a sudden it was just there. And I have been kind of, on and off about kayaking, thinking it looks nice, but if I wouldn't have tried it, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have tried kayaking. But when I did, I just fell instantly in love with it. So that's a huge part of my life, kayaking. And then it was like 1 or 2 years after that, she was like, "Oh, I bought a mountain bike." So did he. So I tried his mountain bike, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm mountain biking now." And now it happened again with the backcountry skis, and it's like, I don't even have these skis yet. I ordered them, but they haven't arrived. They're still, shipping. So I keep updating, the shipping details to see when they will arrive. And they haven't arrived yet, but they will any day now. I'm still coming down with something, so I won't be able to try them out. And I'm a little stressed now because the moment that I've been waiting for, like the snow is, in the beginning of next week, we're going to be in warmer temperatures, so the snow is actually going to start melting. And I've been waiting for that all winter. You know this because I've barely talked about anything other than that for the last, it hasn't been too long, but the last couple of months, just the snow, how I'm done with it.
Caution. Please mind the speed.
And now the moment is finally arriving in just a couple days, and I do kind of wish that the snow would stay for a little bit longer, because I'm probably gonna get these, that by the time I have these skis, 2, feel well enough to go out on the skis, and 3, get the actual opportunity to do so. There's a high chance that there won't be any snow left by then. It's just a matter. It's within 1 or 2 weeks probably, because we don't have that much snow left now. So within maybe within 1 or 2 weeks the snow is going to be gone, and I might not even get a chance to try these skis for this winter. But still, it's a huge thing, because this opens up, I don't understand why I haven't done this earlier. So backcountry skiing is when you go out into the woods to ski without having a proper ski trail, because that's another kind of skiing that is very popular in Sweden. We have one of those kind of ski tracks just, 150 meters from here, but I'm not really into it, because sure, it's a great workout, but I might get into it later, but I don't really feel it doesn't feel very romantic to me to. However, just going out into the woods like this on skis, man, it's like a piece of a puzzle that I have been missing, because now I have the ability to go out into the woods even if it's a lot of snow. So this feels, for me, this is huge. It's just a pair of skis. Well, it's a fairly nice pair of skis, but still, it's only a pair of skis. But what it enables for me is huge. So I'm looking forward to that, and I actually hope that the snow will stay for long enough for me to at least go out with them once or twice. It might not happen, and I'll have to wait until next winter, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it a lot. It's gonna be great.
Go straight on.
I haven't been skiing since I was in the army, and that was 2004. Was that 22 years? But I got on these skis, and it was like it was like as if no years had passed. I was probably a lot better at it when I was, back then when I was 19 or whatever. But still, it felt so familiar. It was like, I can't believe I had forgotten that. I've forgotten skiing. But yeah, overall, it was a nice trip. It was great for my kids to spend time with their grandmother, to get away. Even though I think maybe the thing I need the most right now is just have an ordinary everyday. Because like, I haven't done much work at all in February overall. Workouts have been, like I said, workouts have been lacking. So, yeah, and that's good. Because I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit excited to get back into, normality of things. All right, let's see. It's 2:30, so we need to pull over for our 11-hour rest. We need to stop before 3, so that'll be now. We have a rest stop just coming up. Alright, let's get this rest. We wake up 2 in the morning. We're soon gonna get going. Let's take a look at this rest stop and see where we're at. Kind of did a little crooked parking here. So I went by a bunch of these rest stops during the drive. And like, man, for the most part, this life looks pretty miserable. I guess if you have a really nice, interior of the truck, but just these weird hours, waking up at 2 in the morning. Going to bed at 3 in the afternoon. I don't know. Alright, let's do this. It's Saturday, 2:10. Let's get out of here. And just spending time in bed, I wanted to let time pass as fast as possible. So I knowingly made a little experiment. I downloaded and installed Instagram, and I was just, doom scrolling the content that's on there. And I guess I got a couple observations from that. It is, I would say, now that I have this, so background story here. A couple months ago, I did a complete, cut. It wasn't detox. It was a complete cutoff of everything, every kind of social media. I mean, I guess I publish stuff on YouTube, but it doesn't really count because I don't sit and just watch these reels and just this next reel and next reel and next, that kind of. I just stopped that completely, and from day one, the quality of my life increased dramatically. And now that I've gone so many months without it, just having these couple of days where I was doing a lot of it, like, it's really scary how dark it gets. I mean, like, your brain turns into this mush, and the algorithm is fucking dangerous, if you don't pay attention to what's going on. And it seems to have gotten worse, or I have not, you know, or I did not realize how bad it was when I was in the middle. Because my algorithm is, there's a lot of workout. Last thing I was looking at a lot on Instagram, which is the last social media I used. I didn't get onto, I didn't start using Snapchat. I didn't start using TikTok, so I don't really know how they work. But as far as I know, it's just these couple second clips, you know, this next couple second clip after the other. And when I quit Instagram, the last thing I was looking at was, you know, a lot of workout, strength training, gym culture stuff. A lot of recipes for, you know, high protein foods, stuff like that. And it's just awful how much a lot of this content is misinformation, and this culty vibe of like the different cultures that all these different content creators have, and how easy it is for a non-truth to spread. And a lot of it is like reactionary. They see some other content creator and they just talk shit about their whatever they're saying. And it's getting harder and harder to find, you know, objective facts, or it never was easy. But that's pretty much the same, like, from what it was when I, you know, it's pretty much like what it was when I left it, for the most part.
Caution. Please watch the speed.
But what I noticed that so I was just watching the same old, it was pretty much the same old stuff. There's this gym content, and then there's, I'm into trucks, so there's some of that. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then there's fighter jets, because I love fighter jets. So there's a lot of fighter jet stuff. So I guess it's pretty, you know, gyms, fighter jets, and trucks, that's pretty manly stuff, you know? I don't identify with that kind of mentality, but I see how, you know, the algorithm can put two and two together. Because every now and then it tries to show me thirst traps, which is girls or women being as naked as they can to try to get you to follow them, or, you know, or whatever people want, you know? I'm not very interested in that kind of stuff. But that's the standard from what I remember it. That's kind of what it's like to scroll Instagram. And sometimes there's this the occasional clip of like a dog being a hero, saving a child from being electrocuted, or some other dogs or whatever. I don't know why, but I get a lot of that stuff in my feeds. But what started showing up now, what was different, or I didn't really notice, I think I would have noticed it, because I reacted really hard to it. It's like this, I feel like it's this divisive type of content. There's a lot more fighting content of like robbers and subway fights, and a lot of that kind of stuff just starts up. It's fucking, I really do not enjoy that kind of content. And in my experience, I'm seeing a lot more of that now than what I remember ever seeing before. So it felt a little scary. Not that not that I'm afraid that I'm all of a sudden going to start acting differently because of something that I saw on Instagram. I feel like I haven't. It was more of an experiment. I don't feel like now that I'm out of that, I don't have to stay in that guest house bed just looking at reels to make, time pass. I feel like I've since uninstalled Instagram again, and I feel like I'm probably never gonna open it again. But what scares me is that, like, I guess what you would call hyper vigilant on the meta experience of like, what is this thing trying to show me and why? Like, I've been thinking a lot about that. And there was another thing that I saw a lot of was this alpha male kind of content, which is like anti, low key or hot, overt anti-women type of content, where it's like interviewer on the street asks a young woman what she wants in a man, and like this man on the street interviewer says, how tall do you want your man to be? And she says, whatever, tall. And then he immediately started attacking her for her weight, like as if there's a double standard, as if women are quote unquote allowed to demand a man to be a certain height, whereas a man is not quote unquote allowed to demand a woman to be a certain weight. Just bullshit, like just bullshit type of content. And what scares me is that if you're not, if you're not vigilant about it, you will take this stuff at face value and believe that it's, how the world works. And it's crazy how it's like this thing is always out to get you. So if you are not, if you're not aware that it's right there trying to get you, man, it might just get you. And I was looking at the timing. I don't know how I thought I was going to make it to Uppsala within this week. It is Saturday now. So I'm going to have to pull my 45-hour rest in Umeå, where I also have a garage. So a little rule that I set for myself is that I need to take my weekly 45 hours of rest in a city where I own a garage. And currently I own garages in Umeå, Uppsala, Berlin, and Athens, Greece. And I don't think I'm gonna make it. I mean, I could, but I got about an hour's margin if I would try to drive to Uppsala. And I know that, with everything that can happen on the road, just I'm not gonna make it. Like, just parking the truck takes too long for me to try to make it to Uppsala for the 45-hour rest. So Umeå it is.
Keep right, and then continue straight on. Go straight on.
All right. It's Saturday, 6:05. We're gonna take our 45-hour rest here. It is Monday, 10 minutes past 7.
Time to hit the road.
It's time to hit the road. Next rest is in 4.5 hours. Probably gonna, hopefully, we're gonna make it to Sundsvall. But I know better than to make promises. When I drive this in real life from Umeå to Uppsala, which is what we're gonna do now, I don't know if we're gonna stop in Uppsala though, we'll see. We might take our 11 hours there. We drive from, takes about 3 hours and 20 minutes to drive from Umeå to Sundsvall. That's where we usually stop to have lunch at a great burger spot. And then it's another 3 hours to get home to Uppsala.
Exit now. At the roundabout, take the first exit. Exit now.
You know, an awful feature that boomers have, that my mother has, that I noticed when I was visiting her. Sorry. You know that when they're disrespecting their partner in front of other people, and they do that, I remember they did that with like kids as well. That's one of the worst traits.
At the roundabout.
And I'm so happy that my generation has kind of stopped doing it. I mean, there are some people that do it that still, like, I don't know, I guess they act like their parents or whatever.
Exit now.
But my mother did this to her husband. And she does this. Like, they talk down to each other in front of other people. And I'm not very close with my mother. We are strangers for the most part. We're barely keeping it together. Like, as long as we don't talk about anything deep, it's fine. She wasn't great to me when I was a kid. Let's just leave it at that for now. So anyway, and they got into this little argumentative, tone. And I was like, for like a second, I felt like I remember when I was a kid and she was fighting with my father. And I'm not going to put all the blame on her. He was a piece of work. But like them two together, it was probably the worst combination you could ever imagine. So anyway, it was a little weird because they were like, it was obvious they'd argued over something. Or it's just how they sound. I don't know. I don't really care. What I do care about is how I feel about everything, I guess. So they went into this little toxic kind of, little needles. And for a second, I was like, it's rushed over me like what it was like when she was arguing with my dad when I was a kid. And then I was like, hold on a minute. These are strangers to me. I don't live here. This is not my problem. So I could just fucking leave, but...
At the roundabout.
Do you know what I mean? That thing? Where boomers are like, the wife is, whatever. Fucking disrespectful. And he was talking about, when she was gone, he was talking about how he had a night to himself. We was just listening to country music, and I assume he was drinking booze. It was like really, it was fucking pathetic, if I'm gonna be completely honest. But the thing he said that, which is like a hint at that everything is not alright, between them. And again, it's not my problem. It's not something I'm worried about. It's not something I don't really care that too much about it. But he said that he doesn't have any friends any longer.
Exit now.
Because she's just said that, those people aren't any good. Those people aren't any good. So I didn't dig too deep into it, and we didn't really go, too far into it, what he was talking about. So I'm just assuming here, but I know for a fact that she can be a little... She's off and on. She could be like this loving person, then all of a sudden you're just out of her life because she's moved on to something else. And I'm her son, and I can tell that I've got a lot of... Well, I guess we kind of, a lot of my traits I've, gotten from her. And every time I do something that reminds me that I am acting like my parents I did or do, I get this shiver down my spine because I don't want to be anything like them. So what I think it is I think she has the same kind of introvert that I do, where, social gatherings can be very draining. Except that she hasn't learned how to handle it.
Keep right.
And before I learned how to handle it, I knew that I was kind of, trying to make the world make sense in the same way that she is. So I think that what I used to do was whenever I got into a situation where, where I felt drained from energy, where I didn't want to be there anymore, because all of a sudden, when I'm in a social gathering, all of a sudden I can just be overwhelmed, My social battery just goes flat without warning, and I need to be out of there. And I've dug into this, I've had therapy over this.
Caution. Please watch the speed.
And I know, even though it's hard in the moment, afterwards, I know that it's a me problem. Like the problem comes from me running out of energy. It's not the people that I'm spending time with that are necessarily doing anything wrong. But I think that she hasn't gotten to the point where she's even aware of this. So I think she's kind of fleeing. And trying to explain it by, so if she's spending time with someone and she runs out of energy, it gets, it gets really hard. And I think she thinks the problem is whomever she's spending time with, not that she's run out of energy. Because I know that I've been trying to understand the world with the same kind of tools, because I guess that's the tools that she gave. I don't know.
Go straight on. Go straight on.
So we're in Örnsköldsvik, and I was here just yesterday.
Keep right. Go straight on.
And it's the same thing whenever sometimes when I like laugh or when I say hello to people, I can hear that I sound like my dad. And it's really hard because I really don't like him. And when I get reminded of that, it's just, I get really uncomfortable. But anyway, my mom, and when she does this thing where she just writes people off as jackasses or jerks or assholes or whatever because maybe she got offended by something they said, maybe she was just tired because she ran out of energy, maybe she's just an introvert and doesn't know how to deal with it. It doesn't matter. You can't do that. And I'm reminded that throughout my life, I have done that. And I feel so ashamed, I've been such an idiot. I guess there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, what's done is done. I can't go back in time and change things. So what I need to do is just work on the future, which I feel, I feel everything's under control now, but I'm just reminded of, how far I've come and how far away I was before and how far away from getting it right she is. She's so, her whole life she's been living like this. She's turning people away from her, isolating herself. So like, why do I visit her? And I thought really long and hard about this. I don't meet my dad at all. He's not a part of my life. He is PNG'd completely. And that's not normal. What's normal is for everyone to have contact with their parents and just, you know, for things to be fine, even though maybe they're not always fine, but, you know, to keep trying. But, you know, there's a limit to everything. I have tried. And I can tell that my kids are, you know, my kids don't have a grandfather. And they're too young to understand because I don't want to tell them everything straight out. At some point I will. And they know a little bit. They know that, you know, he's not well at all. And that he wasn't very nice to me when I was a kid. So, I mean, they kind of get it with whatever tools they have to get something like that. But when it comes to my mom, like, as soon as we can keep the conversation light, it's fine. And as the few times where, you know, we start straying towards something deeper, it's not fine. And I will just cut the conversation there and just move back to surface level topics. And she's very nice to my kids, so they get to have a grandma. And I feel like I would do them a disservice if I was to keep them away from that. I just hope that she doesn't hurt them in the way that she can't hurt people. Because I think I'm making the right call now to like keep trying. But if she ever hurts them, I'm gonna regret it so bad. We just passed through Sundsvall. We don't need to take our break yet. We need to take our break by 11:45. We're doing good time here. This is unrealistically fast. This will be at least 3, maybe a 4-hour drive doing 80 kilometers an hour. But yeah, you know, this world is a lot smaller than the real world is, so I guess it is what it is. We don't need to take our break just yet. We could go for another hour, but there aren't a lot of rest stops coming up, so we're going to pull over here at this gas station and take our 45 minutes. I can't really fit there. I think I need to back it in between next to this yellow one. I haven't done this in a while, I can tell. There we go. All right, we're pulling over for a rest at 10:29. Let's get out, stretch our legs. Now, I've done this drive from Umeå to Uppsala and Uppsala to Umeå thousands of times. Well, probably not that, but hundreds of times at least. At least 50. Maybe 20. And when I started driving Euro Truck Simulator 2 in this release, the Nordic Horizons DLC, I was really interested to see which rest stop they opted to make. And I think it's weird that they went for this one. Because at first I was like, when I saw this wooden tower, I was like, I couldn't quite place it because, I don't know. It felt familiar, but I don't have a really clear memory of it. But, so I started Googling, I took a picture of it, and I asked ChatGPT, like, do you recognize this wooden tower here? And of course, I mean, it's, you know, it just was just rambling about a bunch of other things. And I was like, Googling around for rest stops on the E4 between Umeå and Uppsala, and I couldn't find it. But driving down, or up rather, when I went up north, you know, I rode past this, and it was right there. This wooden tower. But it's at a place where I never stopped, so well, I never really thought about it, really, I suppose. That was weird, because I felt like I could recreate every part of this stretch of road from my mind, but on the other hand, I get into this mode of, just driving, you know? Where kind of, time and place just, I get into this zone. I really like it, but man, I'm not really there for most of the time. Because then I also started thinking about, a bunch of other places, names, signs that I'm like, if someone were to ask me if that was along the road, I would say no. This goes to show, I guess, how, I get into this meditative state. I don't think about everything. Anyway, our time's almost up. Let's get back to the truck. But coming home is always the best. And even though, I really like northern Sweden, I think I would choose to live there if I could. No matter what, home is the best. It is 11:15, and it's time to go. All right, let's do some questions. What would your friends say is your most predictable behavior? And you remember how I told you that I started doing things after I, like, with the kayaking and the mountain biking and the skiing? I think one of my most predictable behaviors are going full on all in on a new thing every now and then, and not doing it just a little bit. Like when I started kayaking, I get like professional level kayak stuff. I start doing it, multiple times a week. I joined this kayaking club. I have always done it throughout my entire life, and sometimes I've felt bad about it. Like, oh look, there's the jet. Sometimes I felt bad about it. Sometimes I've been ashamed over it. Like, why can't I just be normal, and just do things with just... do it just a little bit. But I have since let go of that idea. I can't be anyone other than me. And purposefully holding myself... Can you imagine purposefully holding yourself back from something that you enjoy only for the sake of trying to be more normal? I mean, it sounds ridiculous just saying it out loud. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would be absolutely miserable. Now, there are, of course, some things I opt not to do at all because of said fact. Like, I have decided to not get into hunting because it would eat up to... I would make it my whole personality. It would be... there would do end to it. And it requires... I can't do it outside my door, So it would require traveling, it would require too much time away from the family, and it would be insanely expensive. So I have just decided to not get into traveling at all. And I'm pretty proud of myself for just not doing it. The same with climbing. I would also want to do... I would so badly want to get into climbing because I love gear. I love no gear as much as I love climbing gear, with all the harnesses and the carabiners and the climbing axes, it just belts and just everything about it. It's just... everything about it is just so cool, but it is insanely expensive too. But most of all, it would just take too much time. I wouldn't be able to fit it in. So I decided to not do climbing. And I've also taken a break from flight sims. I have this fantastic flight sim setup. And I was playing a flight sim called DCS. It was a combat flight sim. And it's still going. I mean, the game is, from the looks of it, it's keep going great. It was just... I don't know. I needed a break from that because it took too much time and energy, and at a point they did this huge update that just broke everything. I had made this, so DCS was, or was. I don't know if it still is. But you could kind of program missions, because the flight sim in itself, it's like a big sandbox. So there's this mission editor, so you need to make a mission, so you need to create something that you can play. And well, I did that, and I think it was like I made a game inside the game. It was like this real-time strategy game, because I was flying a close air support aircraft, so I programmed this whole, and I'm not a programmer, so I don't really know what I'm doing, but by force of sheer will, I managed to program that you could randomly get assigned some ground units that you were to protect as they were doing their missions, and you could give them commands to like go north or west or south or hold or attack. And I also made so that you could control like a wingman or multiple flights in the sim. So it turned into this real-time strategy game. It was fantastic. It was like the most fun I've ever had by PC. And then they changed, like they did this huge update and everything broke, and it was like 15,000 lines of code. It was all wasted. It didn't work anymore. So I just I just kind of stopped. I'm still hurt by that. I miss it so much. I wish I could have it back, but like, I don't know if what I did back then would be possible to recreate, and I don't think I would have the time. Well, I know I wouldn't dare to spend the time to try to make it work, to get to a point where I would know if it worked or not, because I would have to spend multiple weeks of just researching how it works now
Exit right.
versus how it worked back then.
Exit right.
So I haven't sold the stuff, but it's in cold storage. And every time I see it, I get a little sad. Because I really love that flight simulator.
Exit.
Alright, we're pulling off in Uppsala. We're going to get our 11-hour rest, and I'm going to end this episode here. I'm running out of playtime. But we made quite some progress from last episode.
Keep right.
But as always, thank you so much for taking the time with us. I really do appreciate it. And remember to take care of yourself. You are important, and you need to last for a long time. Bye.